Hey guys, so there's new Hearthstone reveal cards these past few days, and we're gonna go ahead and look at a few of them. There are some pretty insane cards, so I'm pretty happy with the newest releases. And we'll start with the Crystalline Oracle. It's the new 1 mana 1/1 for Priest this time. It looks like every class is getting a 1 mana 1/1 these days. And it has an effect, Death Rattle, copy a card from your opponent's deck and add it to your hand. So it's effectively the same thing as Shifting Shade, only it's a 1 mana 1/1. So obviously, this is meant to help the Priest quest, Awaken the Makers, go a little bit. You can achieve that a bit easier. And also, since Standard is removing a lot of Death Rattle cards, this is actually one of the replacements. Now, this is not as good as Swashbuckler or Paveling Book, because this is a Death Rattle. Usually, late game, why Swashbuckler and Paveling Book are so good is because you can play it at turn 10, immediately get the card, and immediately play that card if you want, right? So this is a little bit not as good that way. But I guess the upside is that you get to copy a card in your opponent's deck. So usually the card quality should be a bit higher. Like if you're copying an opponent's deck, you're probably not going to get Magma Rager, right? And if you do get Magma Rager, then you probably win that game because you're playing against a deck with Magma Rager, right? Unfortunately, as well, Jade Druid and Pirate Warrior, those are not decks that you want to copy cards from, right? Like if you copy a Pirate Warrior's card, you're probably dead anyways, right? You can't really use it properly. And if you copy like a Jade Golem deck, you start a Jade Golem as a 1/1, right? While they're making 10/10s and 12/12s and 15/15s and whatnot. So it's not a big synergy with that. But against a control deck, it's really good, right? If you get a Kazakus, if you get like, a Siphon Soul, or a Mind Control or something, that would be really good. So I assume that this is still going to see play, even though it's not as good as Swashbuckler or Paveling Book, because those are really high up at the pirate level. Next we have this cool and badass looking legendary. Dude, I love Tovey, man. Tovey, one of my favorite races in World of Warcraft. And dude, look at this guy, man. He looks awesome. 6 mana, 3/7 taunt, Battlecry, Mass Udamon effect. Now, how good is that? I don't think this is actually that insane. A lot of people are overhyping it for sure. It's really hard to make this card work well, right? Some people are saying, wow, this is so good against Jade Golems because you play this, all the Jade Golems become 3/3, and then it's a counter. Well, spoiler alert, after you set the Jade Golems to 3/3s, they're still gonna make more Jade Golems. And then that's still gonna be a problem, you get what I mean? So, yeah, and 3/3 is also that awkward spot where, it only trades with this, right? This is good at killing the 3/3s, but your other cards not really. You have True Silver that kills it well. You do not run Hammer of Wrath in Constructed. Hammer of Wrath is considered a bad card. And Consecration doesn't really kill this, right? So yeah, this is still not a bad card, especially in control matchups. But if you're playing against Pirate Warriors with 1/1 Chargers, 2/3 Pirates and stuff like that, and you buff them into 3/3s, and you're playing a Shaman and you buff the totems into 3/3s, yeah, that's not a good plan. And we have Shadow Visions, the card I was supposed to reveal, but there was a mess up, so it was unfortunate. But what Shadow Visions does is a priest card that discovers a copy of a spell in your deck. Now, this is really cool because you get to actually make more decisions in the deck building part of the game, right? So say you're making a priest deck, and you only put exactly 3 other spells with Shadow Visions, right? That means Shadow Visions will always spit out one of those options, which makes it really versatile in that way, right? It does cost 2 mana, so it's a bit expensive. If you compare it to the 1 mana draw cards, like I Know a Guy and Journey Below and Raven Idol, for example, like this effect usually is only 1 mana, right? But the fact that you're playing Priest means that you usually hero party at turn 2, your opponent's face and emoting anyways, right? So instead of that, you can play Shadow Visions. You can actually find a card that's good for the matchup. Or you can actually even get Miracle Priest, right? Discover Mind Blast only, and then 4 Mind Blast, just pew 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 pew, That might be a new deck, I don't know. But yeah, I think this card has potential. Then we have the Kleshmada Zabas. It's a 2 mana 2/2 Warlock Beast card, the only beast in Warlock that's a class card. And it says, whenever you discard this, You give it +2/+2 and return it to your hand. Oh baby! So this becomes a 2-mana 4/4. This becomes a 2-mana 6/6. If you get to discard it, the only problem with this card is that there are two. There are two actually. First problem is that if you top deck this, it looks terrible, right? It's actually just terrible card. And if you start with this, well, that's the second problem. This card is random in Hearthstone, right? If you discard some other card, you'll be super salty. If you do discard this card, your opponent will be salty. So somebody is going to be salty with this card. And usually cards like those, I'm not really a big fan of because it's so swingy. But yeah, at the end of the day, this is really strong early game and it's pretty trashy late game. So it's just standard, I guess, right? Get it? Standard. It's also a little bit more reliable though because Warlocks are getting the new 4-mana 3/8 taunts with discard 2 cards. So they're getting 2 additional Doom Guards in the Disco lock. So it might be stronger in that sense. And but we'll see. Disco lock is gonna be a thing. I'm gonna assume. Anyways, we move on to Stone Sentinel. It's a Shaman card. 7-mana 4/4. Yeah, 7-mana 4/4 is really bad, right? But does have an effect. This is the new elemental mechanic from Ungoro. It says, Battlecry, if you played an elemental last turn, you summon 2/3 elementals with taunt. So basically you play Feral Spirits, right? So 7-mana 4/4, play Feral Spirits if you summon an elemental last turn. It's interesting, but it's also kind of scary. I'm just going to talk about the elemental mechanics as a whole, right? The interesting part of this mechanic is that it's pretty predictable. So for example, you're playing against a Shaman and he drops like Fire Elemental at turn 6. You should be able to tell that he might be playing a Stone Sentinel at turn 7. So you could technically play around it. So if I'm a priest playing against a Fire Elemental, I might just pass my turn, hold up my Dragon Fire Potion, and then play Dragon Fire Potion after Stone Sentinel happens, right? You get me? So that's the good part. The bad part is that Hearthstone might be Curve Stone again, right? So, you know, remember the days back in Secret Paladins where they would play Minibot, Muster, Shredder, Belcher, Dr. 6, Dr. 7, Ragnaros, and you're dead, right? Like, you cannot beat that. Well, the elemental mechanic actually promotes Curve Stone, right? You want to play your elementals every turn. You want to buff the elemental. And since this is also an elemental, if you have another card that buffs elemental, you want to play that. And you just want to keep on playing, you know, Curve Stone. And, you know, the problem with Curve Stone is that it's not that interesting. It's not that, you know, interactive. So hopefully it's more of the first one rather than the second one, right? It's more of the interesting, I can play around this versus the second option of, well, I just got curved out, I can't do anything. And speaking of the new elemental mechanic, the Osric is a 9-mana 5/5 with taunt. Actually does not gain health if you summon an elemental, right? You have to actually play it from your hand. So, you know, you actually have to play elementals from your hand. It doesn't come from the card just now, which is the Stone Sentinel elementals, right? It doesn't work. So this is very similar to Sogoth the Slitherer, where if you have one activation, it's kind of the same. If you have 2 or more activations, it's bonkers. And if you have no activations, so basically if you top deck this, for example, it's really bad. It's a 9-mana 5/5 taunt. It's really bad. So I would say that this card is not insane. I think this card is pretty normal. Even if it's Sogoth, like Sogoth wasn't seeing that much play. And arguably, the can't be targeted by spells and hero powers text is a little bit more worth it. All the situations of Osric seems bad right now. Like against all the decks that are in standard right now. I mean, standard might change, but for now, if you play this against Pirate Warrior, well, if you live to turn 9, you probably win anyways. If you play this against Control, boom, it turns into Sheep, it turns into Frog, it turns into their minion in terms of Priest, it gets sapped, you know, it just gets wrecked, right? So we'll have to see if the new cards actually, or the new set in general, promotes a little bit more control. Because, you know, I don't know, it just gets wrecked by everything right now. Well, filler card is filler. 1-mana 1/2 Firefly. Battlecry added 1-mana 1/2 elemental to your hand. I know it's trying to push the elemental theme of like, yeah, you want to play an elemental first and then play the big guys and then it'll be really good. But you do not want to be playing 1-mana 1/2s with no text, right? Even if you get 2 of them, that seems pretty bad. Yeah, that's pretty bad. Continue on with our bad new elemental 1/2 elemental cards. We have the Flame Geyser, yeah, the 2-mana mage card, deal 2 damage, which is pretty good. You know, you can deal 2 damage to the face. What's the bonus of playing this over Frostbolt? Oh, you get to add a 1-mana 1/2 to your hand. Yeah, I'd probably pass on this because 1-mana 1/2s don't really do anything. Sure, there are elementals that activate your other stuff, but there's better options out there. Primal Fin Lookout! 3-mana 3/2 Battlecry. If you control another Murloc, discover a Murloc. It's the new Tomb Spider for Murlocs. You can say it's the new Gorilla Bot for Murlocs. I feel like that every expansion is gonna have one of these, man. You just discover another thing. It's not as good as expected, I guess, since you know, old Murkai is no longer discoverable. I think Murloc Knight is rotating out of the meta, rotating out of standard as well, and you're not gonna get too many Murlocs. So this is probably just an arena card. And even in arena, I'm probably not drafting this, right? Because I mean, if you get the value, it's okay, right? It's not bad. You draw a card, it's never bad. But if you don't get the value, it's a 3-mana 3/2, and I don't want to play that. And then we have the Mega Fin! Okay, so Mega Fin is a 5-mana 8/8 Murloc that has Battlecry. Fill your hand with random Murlocs. And of course, you can't just play this. You have to actually play the quest to get it. And the quest for Shamans is Unite the Murlocs. Summon 10 Murlocs, and then you get Mega Fin in your hand. Well, that's kind of awkward because, well, playing Murlocs in the Shaman deck is not really that strong. You do have access to Flame Tongue, which is a little bit better, but you are losing Everything is Awesome, right? That card is rotating out. So it's a little awkward. The only card that synergizes with this, I guess, is Calling the Finishers from the new, from Gazan. It's a 4-mana summon 4 1/1 Murlocs, right? I'm still not entirely convinced summoning Mega Fin is that good, I guess. But you do get to fill your hand with 10. It is a 5-mana 8 draw 10 cards, right? Technically speaking. But there are some very bad Murlocs. Although Murloc Tiny Fin is rotating out. So at least you're not getting a crappy 0-mana 1/1. I'm sorry, Tiny Fin, you'd be pretty crappy. So if you get something like, you know, some War Leaders, some Andes, which are the Bluegill Warriors, then it could be good, right? But other than that, I'm not really too excited about the Shaman quest. And I guess the reason for the Shaman quest sucking is because the new Shaman legendary card is bonkers! Oh my god, this card is my favorite card out of the whole set so far. Dude, look at this, Kalimos, Primal Lord, 8-mana 7/7, yeah? Battlecry, if you played an elemental last turn, so you need the elemental thing, right? You get to cast an Invocation. And Invocation is OP, okay? Here are the 4 invocations, okay? We have Invocation of Air, which basically consecrates and a half on your opponent, okay? Deal 3 damage to all enemy minions. You have Invocation of Water, which is, you know, you basically healing touch yourself, 1.5 healing touches on yourself. Then you have Invocation of Earth. You have fill your board with 1/1, so Onyxia's Battlecry. And you also have a choice of Invocation of Fire, so you fireball your opponent's face, right? All of these effects are, well, they're not insane, you get what I mean? So you, like, an 8-mana 7/7 that deals 3 damage to all enemy minions doesn't seem as good because you have Abyssal Enforcer, right? The Invocation of Water, well, you have better options like Alexstrasza or Reno or stuff like that. You have Onyxia for this, and then you have, like, well, I don't know, literally, you can just play Fireball, right? But the point of this card is you get to choose. You get to freaking choose, okay? So that's OP. This card is actually OP. We know back then, for like Hearthstone's past, the strongest cards are the choose one cards. Remember Ancient of Lore and Keeper of the Grove? Dude, back in those days, those cards were so OP. And that's because choose one effects are generally that. They're really OP. So you're saying that, you know, Shamans can actually play 8-mana 7/7, and against a Pirate Warrior matchup, they can heal for 12. Against, you know, Handlock, they can smoke for 6. Against a more mid-range matchup, they can actually clear the board, right? Like, this is a good card. It's probably my favorite so far. I do like that you get to choose your Invocation. It's not RNG. I do like non-RNG cards quite a bit. And, yeah. I would want to run this in an elemental deck. So maybe maybe the best shaman deck is not going to be stupid Jade pirate decks anymore. And I look forward to that. And finally, we have another Tovey. Man, this Tovey looks badass as well. It's a 4-mana 3/5. Battlecry, if you played an elemental last turn, gain taunt and divine shield. Okay, what? Like a 4-mana 3/5 taunt divine shield? Are you kidding me? And the only problem is that you need to play an elemental. Well, we should welcome our new Shaman overlords, because Unbound Elemental into Stone Shaper. It's pretty stupid. Okay. Other classes, worry not. You can still play Magma Rager into Stone Shaper. Okay, I joke. We'll have to see what the full list of 3-drops are. If there are good 3-drop elementals, then this becomes really good, okay? Like, I wouldn't consider Tar Creeper an insane elemental yet, but if there's no more, then Tar Creeper into Tovey Stone Shaper still seems fine, right? It seems decent enough, so yeah, this card is obviously insane. You know, a 4-mana 3/5 Divine Shield Taunt is worth at least like 5.5 mana, right? It's kind of in between Cyclotron and Streamwalker, and yeah, damn, all the Toviers seem really, really awesome, so those are the cards. Well, that was the review for now. When we get more new cards, we're gonna do another video for you guys. And yeah, really excited about the Shaman Legendary, as you can tell. I think this card is gonna be sweet. See you guys next time.